United States.
In the USA, where less than 1% of all residents are Islam followers, the Muslim population will go up, and they will surpass Jews as the second largest religious community. In Pew Research survey from 2014, which aimed to describe how Americans perceive religious groups, Islam followers, together with atheists, were rated the most negatively on the scale from 0 to 100, where 0 stands for the coldest, the most negative feeling, and 100 for the warmest, the most positive one. Muslims' average rating was 40.
Canada, increase 218%.
Three largest religious groups in Canada, Christians, Muslims, and unaffiliated, will record growth in the next 40 years. Although the number of Christians will go up by 1 million in the next 3 decades, they will account for a smaller percent of the total population in 2050 than they did in 2010. 6 years ago, Christians constituted 69% of the country's population, and in 2050 the percentage will drop to 60. The population of Muslims and unaffiliated will grow at faster rates in the future compared to Christians. In 2010, Muslim community had 2.1% members. 40 years later, their number will be 2.26 million, 5.5%, which is a 218% rise, largest increase among all religious groups.
New Zealand, increase 220%.
With 50,000 members, the Muslim community was fourth largest in New Zealand in 2010, after Christians, unaffiliated, and Hindus. In the next 30 years, the country's religious landscape will see some changes. People without religion will outnumber Christians, and become a religious majority. The Hindus' population will also grow, but Muslim group will record the greatest increase. In 2050, there will be 160,000 Islam followers, which is 220% rise. Muslims will also be the youngest among religious groups, median age 28, and they will have the highest fertility rate.
Malawi, increase 233%.
Malawi is one of a few countries in which Muslim population, compared with other religious groups, will not record the greatest increase over the next 30 years. Their number will rise from 1.93 million, 2010, to 6.42 million, 2050, which is a 233% increase, while the number of Christians, which are and which will remain the majority in the country, will rise by 330%. The greatest percent of the country's Muslims live near Malawi Lake, with more than half of them residing in 2 districts, Mangaki and Mashinga, which are situated at the southern end of the lake.
Uganda, increase 248%.
Uganda is the only place on this list in which Christians will have higher fertility rates than Muslims in the future. Islam is currently the second largest religion with 3.84 million followers, and their number will reach 13.37 million in 2050, when they will account for 11.5% of the total population. Throughout history, Muslims have been targeted by different guerrillas and terrorist groups, some of which have been affiliated with radical Islam. In the last 2 years, 12 Muslim clerics have been murdered, which has raised concerns among the community.
Portugal, increase 266%.
In 2010, there were 30,000 Muslims in Portugal, who accounted for less than 1% of the population. Estimates show that their number will be 110,000 in 2015. accounting for 1.3% of all residents. One of the major changes in religious distribution in Portugal will be a significant fall of Christian population, which will decrease by 23.5%. Despite the decline, Christianity will remain dominant religion with 7.5 million followers.
Ireland, increase 300%.
In Ireland, where Muslim population will increase the most by 2050, Islam adherents represent the largest religious majority. Currently, around 50,000 Muslims account for 1.1% of the total population. By 2050 the number of Muslims will reach the number of 200,000, or in other words, they will constitute 3% of all residents. At the same time, the number of Christians will also increase, but their share in the total population will fall to 83.5% from 92%.
Spain, increase 302%.
Among listed European countries, Spain has the greatest Muslim population. In 2010, there were 980,000 Islam followers, while in the next 40 years the number will rise by 302%, reaching 3.94 million. Christian population will decline from 36.24 million to 34.1 million, or, in percentage terms, it will go down from 78.6% to 65.2% of the total population. The number of people without religion, who, currently, constitute the second largest religious group with 8.7 million members, will go up, reaching 13.85 million.
Rwanda, increase 347%.
In the predominantly Catholic country Rwanda, Muslims represent the largest religious minority. In 2010, there were 190,000 of them, and by 2050, the group will have 850,000 members, which is a 347% increase. The group started to grow after the genocide in 1994, which was supported by some church representatives, and which made some people question their faith in Christianity and turn to Islam. Like in many other places in the world, the number of people without religious affiliations will more than double.
Finland, increase 375%.
In 2010, there were 40,000 Muslims living in Finland, constituting less than 1% of the country's total population, which is a 375% increase. Despite the rise, which will mean that Muslims will account for 3.4% of all residents, Christians will continue to represent the great majority. Still, their number will go down during the next 30 years, falling from 4.30 million 2010 to 4.04 million 2050. At the same time, the number of people who do not belong to any religion will go up, reaching 1.29 million, 23.2% of the population.
Belarus and the Czech Republic, increase 900%.
In Belarus, there are 20,000 Muslims, and by 2050 the group will have 200,000 members. They will constitute 2.4% of all residents, while in the Czech Republic the number of Islam followers will increase from 10,000 to 100,000. And although the number of Christians will go down in the future, their share of the total population will not change. On the other side, people without religion represent the dominant religious group in the Czech Republic. There are 8.02 million unaffiliated, accounting for 76.4% of all residents. Their number is going to decline, but their share in the total population will increase, reaching 78.9% by 2050.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel.